Welcome to Irish Illustrated Instant Analysis, brought to you by the RV Manufactured Housing Hall of Fame and Northern Indiana Event Center in Elkhart, Indiana. I'm Tim O'Malley with Drew Mentock. And Drew, we were with three coordinators today, also four players. We're going to start with Madden Faraimo because I think he could have come out just because he's been surging as a player, but obviously he is in the news now for Irish fans because Kingston Viliamu-Asa, one of his mentors and one of Notre Dame's best players, is out for the season with a knee injury.
Yes, they actually played on the same middle school team. I think their nickname was the Ducks, so they've known each other for a while. He said KVA was a big reason probably helped influence him coming here to begin with. He's a guy he talked throughout the recruiting process, and then also getting him comfortable here, learning from him. So even though he's not on the field with him anymore and he'll be replacing him, that's a guy who's really helped him along. But he talked about not playing early. He was another blue chip guy, obviously a guy who jumped in on board on signing day last year. Didn't play a lot at first, but he talked about really needing to struggle while you wait and getting better through that. But he said he's also going to have to get a lot better quickly, too, because he knows that level that KVA plays at is not something anyone can just naturally do. Chris Ash also said later that you're going to have to replace him with those three guys or four guys. One guy is going to do that job. But another quick note on Madden. His sister, whose name is Madden Faraimo, is the best athlete in the family, according to him. She's a UCLA softball player, two-time Pac-12 Pitcher of the Year. So
that does make her the best athlete so far in the family because that's a pretty good conference, as you said, to be the Pitcher of the Year as well. Yeah, and I spoke with Aneas Williams, obviously somebody I wanted to talk to since we could see his role diminish. I had to ask him to start off, how has it been? What's the struggle been like? Because Marcus Freeman talks about delayed gratification. He did not have delayed gratification. He started out right away playing a big role for Notre Dame in week 3 of his freshman year. It's been a slog, and he mentioned, look, I'd be lying if I didn't say it's not been a struggle. Mentally, he said his biggest hurdles, the way he's improved most this season because of this is mentally, not physically. He said, there were times where I would not want people in front of me to do as well in my life. He didn't just mean this year. He meant there were times I didn't want running backs I was competing with to do as well in my life. I don't feel that way now. I want to cheer on my brothers. There were times where, look, he had mentioned week 4, week 5, everybody out there has a decision to make when they're not playing football in week 4 or week 5 nowadays in college football. He had one to make. He said he thinks he made the right one. This is where he wants to be. Obviously, this is all going to come up again in postseason when he starts getting contacted by other programs.
Right.
And he'll get contacted by other programs because every time he gets in the game, he scores a long touchdown. And he said, yes, I do take pride in that, and I don't think it's a coincidence that when I get in the game, I score touchdowns.
Yeah, and he's a guy who has a lot of good film on there, even going back to last year, too. So it's going to be easy to point to Sider's record at Penn State last year, too, where he only played 2 running backs, and it's not going to even look like he's not playing for any reason that has to do with himself, I think.
He did mention, and I said to him, look, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Jeremiah Love's the best running back in college football. Jadarian Price is a graduating senior. You can see the room being available next year. He goes, oh, absolutely. And I think that was the nod to, oh, absolutely, I see my path that I maybe needed explained to him in week 4 when you go from having 2 roles. He was a third down short yardage back. He was a third down long yardage back, too, the pass receiving back. It was all gone. He's just the number 3 running back now. He said he embraces his kickoff responsibilities, and he said so far every team has been smart enough not to kick off to him, which was probably the best line of the day because Jadarian Price has a couple of kickoff return touchdowns. And finally with Aeneas, I did ask him, how much did the elbow injury have to do with it? He said it's been fine for a while. It was okay by week 4. It's a constant daily struggle still.
Wow.
He's still not all the way back. He said that is nothing to do with his lot on the team or his spot on the team, but he said it happened about week 2 of camp. So from week 2 of camp, right up until he guessed week 4, and I think he's right because that's when he scored against Arkansas, he said it was really bothering me at that point.
And you have to think, too, knowing that so many of the carries do go to 1 or 2 players in that running back room next year. If he does want to stick it out, that could be a big factor as well.
This was the first time I thought he might stick it out. And it was good to be able to talk to him because I had never heard anything behind the scenes. And what would you think? You would think that someone would be that frustrated, and he absolutely was. Also frustrated would be, at some point, DeVonta Smith because he had to miss what became Notre Dame's biggest game of the year. I mean, you could argue Miami, I suppose, but Texas A&M is undefeated and poised to go to the SEC championship game. He noted to you he is healthy now, and that's what matters.
Yes, yeah. He said he's 100% healthy. He clarified that the injury happened 2 days before the Texas A&M game, not any earlier in fall camp. He was completely healthy and not during warm-ups or anything like that. So you can tell it really frustrated him. But, yeah, he's fully healthy now. He said he also talked a lot about Dallas Golden and kind of getting him ready for some of his moments, too. And he talked about how he's going to be a really special player. Honestly raved about the fact that he's a guy who they moved to nickel. and 2 days later,
Yeah.
or 2 days before a game, and then played the way he did, had an interception, all that too. But he's adding a big part of this defense. He talks about the difficulty that people often don't understand about playing nickel, that you really have to be able to do everything on the field, run support. So he's healthy. He also referenced something that I thought was interesting, that his two position coaches so far have been Mike Mickens and Nick Saban, who coached, I think they call it the Star or something like that, at Alabama. So he's a guy who's had maybe the best coaching you could potentially have in college football, especially as a defensive back.
So if there's missed assignments, it's his fault, is what we're saying there at this point. We didn't bury the lead, but we did have 3 coordinators, and Chris Ash came in. It's the second time coming in, and he got a lot of the same round of questions. What's the difference? Is this the defense you envisioned in August? And he might have taken the question wrong, because he said, no, we could not play like this in August. And of course you can't play like week 11 in August. But he said at one point, this is what I envisioned for this defense as the season progressed. He noted they were nowhere near there in August, though.
Yeah, and he said they realized it at the point. It wasn't trying to sugarcoat it either.
Yeah, I found that interesting that I wasn't there for that part. You said he realized in August that they weren't there.
Yeah, he's like, I knew we weren't going to be there. I don't think he expected. He pointed to the Texas A&M game, actually, and said, we had one bad quarter against Texas A&M. It wasn't a bad game entirely, which I think is an interesting way to put it. But, yeah, they're playing much better. And I think it's interesting to note that his philosophy is so much different than Al Golden's, to the sense that Al Golden was fine with you running the football against him, whereas Chris Ash wanted them to get to a point where they are now, where stopping the run is setting up the pass defense. That's why now they're, I think, 11th in pass efficiency defense now, after being in the hundreds earlier in the year. He's like, we want to get you in 3rd and long, and that's when we can generate pressure. Notre Dame's first in pressure rate right now, too, or pressures on the season. So he says all that stuff comes from stopping the run, and I thought that was an interesting way to look at it.
If you take out the Navy game and you keep looking, there's some websites that track just the last 3 games in terms of pressure, so it knocks out Notre Dame's bad month of pressure at the beginning. Notre Dame has been in the top 10 and they've been creeping up there. You have to remove Navy, of course, because they don't pass for that situation. But last thing about Chris Ash was, I did ask him about Jalen Stroman, because I had a feeling Ash was a team guy, unit concept guy first. I said, when a guy is Ed Reed for 1 quarter, do you give him a little bit of an extra call out? And he laughed and he said, I very much like to keep it as the group, but he deserved it. I gave him extra praise in the meeting because he was absolutely fantastic. I know we can laugh at it now because it was 70-7, but the reason it was 14-0, and part of the reason it got to 28-0 was the defense of Jalen Stroman.
Yeah, I mean, I expected Luke Talich to start. I was surprised to see him in there, and then he justified it immediately. So there's never been somebody so quick to prove me wrong to a degree like that.
Spoke with Mike Denbrock as well, and Eric Hansen had a line of questioning. I think he's probably doing a story with Jaden Daniels, comparison with Jaden Daniels and Jeremiah Love, because Mike Denbrock coached a Heisman Trophy winner 2 years ago, and he could be coaching one right now. He said the one thing is their mindset is the same. They're just team first guys. You talk to Jeremiah Love, you talk to Jaden Daniels. They really put the team first. It's helped them be embraced by the group. And I mean, I think when you're team first guy and you're embraced by the group, it probably helps you a little bit too, because they'll do anything for you. And he echoed what Marcus Freeman said. Look, that guy, we used to not be able to put him on the field in 3rd down situations, pass pro. He's the best lead blocker. He's the best in pass protection. He is a 100% complete football player.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with any of that. I mean, I think to their point, some of his best highlights or my favorite highlights of his to watch are him in pass protection or lead blocking. I mean, the one against Boston College, which I think I referenced earlier, like he threw that guy in the ground like it was nothing. So he does take a lot of pride in that, and it's interesting to see.
There's some conversation about C.J. Carr, and obviously, really the game where he didn't seem to be himself was USC, and Denbrock was seen on the sideline kind of getting into him a little bit. And he said, sometimes I will get into a guy because I think he needs it. But sometimes the guy like C.J. Carr is so hard on himself, it's better if he steps back and reminds him, hey, you're great. You just didn't see this. And he mentioned something we said in Irish Illustrated. I think for 6 months, Drew, all of us going through, C.J. Carr's a first-time starter. This is not the trajectory. Things have to go wrong along the way.
Yeah, and we've seen that from C.J. Carr. I mean, even last week wasn't his best game. Obviously, they didn't need it.
Yes, he joked about that one. Not quite the same, huh?
Yes. But, he has had those moments, and he's going to kind of be going up and down. But I think what's important that even in the games where he starts off bad, he kind of can push through and start having those good quarters, or at least those good moments. Even against USC, he did enough to kind of get the defense, make the defense pay for not focusing so much on running backs.
I mentioned to Coach Denbrock was the last question because we had to get one in, that they are the oddity of a great red zone touchdown scoring team that is a horrible goal-to-go red zone scoring touchdown team. And he agreed. He knew exactly what I was talking about. He said, I know you've gone over this whole thing. I've seen every play. they've tried everything. He believes they've tried everything. I still think I'm going to write in Monday Musings. There's going to be one more theory I have that they can try going forward. We'll save that as a tease for Monday Musings. But he's right. He said, do we go to 11 personnel? Do we go light, which is what a lot of us have said at Irish Illustrated? Do we get bigger? Do we have to figure out something? Or should they be under center? Should they start that out? Shotgun, personnel. Is it personnel? Is it my play calling? He was all over. He said, we have tried everything. Sometimes that's the way it goes, but we're going to fix it. We are exhausting every possibility.
Yeah, and I mean, they have one game left before the potential playoff, so we'll see if they can get that done soon. But at least they do have a guy like Jeremiah Love out there to potentially help them improve in that area.
I was not over with Marty Biagi at all, special teams coordinator, but you will. And there's a really interesting note about the kickers that you just told me before filming here. I cannot get over the data included in this.
Yeah, Marty Biagi said he went back and looked at 266 kicks from Eric Schmidt that have happened since August to kind of put together a scatter plot, show him the improvement. So I clarified he didn't show Eric Schmidt all of these kicks, but he wanted to make sure that there is improvement, that he's getting better each week. He said the key is to have the same ball flight and height regardless of the distance. So even though the extra points may not seem like they mean much, him demonstrating that level of consistency in those is pretty huge.
I think the days of soccer kickers, guys coming out of the dorms and people coming onto the field for the first time and finding out they can't kick in Notre Dame uniforms are long gone. When you have that much data analysis, you're going to figure out if your kicker is something you can stick with going forward. And if not, did he talk at all about Noah Burnett being off of the questionable list?
So I got over there a little late, so I'm not totally sure on Noah Burnett, but I know he mentioned before that if he's a guy that when he comes back will definitely be in contention, a statement that Marcus Freeman echoed today.
We've had too much camera time today because we had Marcus Freeman, we had a podcast, and we had this players and coaches instant analysis, but that's it for the week. We'll be reporting back to you on Saturday morning. I think we're going to work out an early Saturday morning instant analysis with the whole crew because otherwise, what are you guys going to do for 14 hours when you wake up on the East Coast other than maybe watch Irish Illustrated instant analysis and a little bit of football leading into the Notre Dame game against Stanford, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. For Drew Mentock, for Tim O'Malley, this has been Irish Illustrated Instant Analysis brought to you by the RV Manufactured Housing Hall of Fame and the Northern Indiana Event Center in Elkhart, Indiana.